it's very hard to draw straight lines between politics and Islam. This is very hard to exist because it's much easier on a procedural level than it is on philosophical level. Nothing I think is value free. So where you get your values from is a transcendental thing, and this for me is religion, and therefore religion shapes my worldview altogether, and this has an impact on my perception of politics, on my perception of society, and so on and so forth. Nonetheless, this does not mean that there will be overlaps, of course, but this does not mean that those are identical spheres. Most of what we call today as politics is something that come under the category of mubah, or allowed, one of the 5 categories of verdicts in Islam. You have the wajib, the mandatory, the mandoob, the recommended, the mubah, allowed, makruh, discouraged, and muharram, or forbidden. So those are the 5 main categories, and most of them would come under the category of allowed. So it's I mean, there's wide, and this is where I don't want to call it experts, because there are no experts in politics, but the specialized people in politics, economics, sociology, people understanding the impact of different policies and so on and so forth later, which is quite different than the way Islamists are doing it, because the very assumption that Islam is the solution that they propagate entails an overlap between Islam and politics. Not an overlap, an assumption that they are identical spheres, and they are not. Actually, I would go so far to say that Islam is the problem, not the solution. And by that, I don't mean that we should just forget about it because it's a problem. What I want to say is that you live your life based on an attempt to maximize the benefit and minimize the problems that you're facing, and you come up with different solutions. And then Sharia will tell you, but this particular solution is not allowed because this or that. So the role of a specialist here is to find a way around this ban on a particular practice. Which means that it's a problem because it puts problem in your life, but you still have to deal with these problems in accordance with it, because you're not adopting it because it's the most practical, or it's because it's the easiest. If you choose to adopt it, it's because you believe that this is God's will, and therefore you have to abide by it. I mean, this is why I insist that this is not a political question, it's more of a theological question, an area where Islamists walk in blinded. They not a single Islamist today, I think, has any clue on this domain of Islamist theology. They are mostly Wahhabis, and Wahhabis have no contribution in the field of kalam, as it's being so I think it's very important to understand that there are overlaps, but they are not the same sphere. The way Islamists have been doing it is they have, instead of Sharia being the absolute, the transcendental, the thing that they walk to follow, they have developed, in case of the Brotherhood for instance, the Islamists have 3 secular absolutes, and this is why calling them Islamists is just big lie. The first secular absolute is the organization, maintaining organizational unity. This is, and by secular I don't mean non-religious, I mean earthly, but those are the absolutes. Maintaining organizational unity, and through the implementation and employment of the notion of darura, of necessity, that has a very narrow meaning in our heritage and our history of scholarship, it has been reinterpreted to mean whatever is harmful, avoiding whatever is harmful. So, and the definition of darura is kept at the hands of the organization's leadership. So therefore they can actually redefine the entire body of Sharia in a way that promotes organizational benefits and organizational interests. So anything that harms the organization becomes unlawful, and anything that benefits the organization becomes lawful, even if in its original form it is not. Because again, you employ the notion of darura, so organization becomes the absolute. The second absolute is the market, and the third absolute is the state. Those are three secular absolutes for Islamists, which make me comfortably say that they are not even in any possible way adhering to Islam. And this is why I've been saying earlier that the influences of the modern state on Islamists are much more than the influences of Islam itself versus Sufi orders, for instance.